7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this very, very special event. My name is Aldrin St. Pierre. I am the host of Beyond the Headline on SAFM, and I am also the host of Unfiltered on SABC3, and it gives me great, great pleasure to be here. And I have to say, it looks packed. It looks packed, you know? The thing about COVID-19 is that you've reached a point where it's so rare to see so many human beings in one place. And I'm happy to see all of you here. I know the hugs are not allowed, but hey, Bluetooth hug, everybody, Bluetooth hug, Bluetooth hug. Thank you so much for being here. 2021. As a young person myself, 33 years old, yes, Anastasia, I'm 33 years old, so I still qualify. 2 years, then I'll be gone. Might just, but there's some people that are 40 and like I'm a young person. Are you one of those? You're old. Let's start off here, ladies and people who have sent through the nominations of the plus 100 people who we are recognizing today. Thank you so much to everyone, every single person who said that, listen, this is the person that I believe should be recognized in my community. This is the person that I know is making a change. This part is that we speak about young people and we speak about youth apathy, and there's nothing wrong about that, but that's not the entire story. The whole story also includes young people who are actually making a difference in the communities that they're in at. Young people who are making a difference in the spaces that are here today. A round of applause to you and to those people who are supporting you as well. So we have 6 categories for this inaugural event, and I'm going to go through that list of 6 categories, and hopefully one day we'll have 20 plus categories. This is the inaugural event. It's the first time that we have something like this, and Babu Ali, well done. Well done for throwing your weight behind this as well. Well done night as well, and into the early hours of the morning as well to make sure that this event takes place. And everybody else who's following on Teams and following on the various social media platforms, including Facebook as well as YouTube on the Sunday World website as well. That's where we're streaming this event live. So the 6 categories that we have is community heroes, and there will be a panel discussion a bit later on. And I like the theme, daring to dream. Because when you are young, actually not even when you're young, but any person who has the ability to dream, that's an act of bravery, it's an act of courage. And when you act on that dream, to dream, it is very difficult to dream when all around you, all you see is gloom and doom, but you're amongst those people who saw that there's a silver lining. And let's make South Africa a better place for everyone to live in. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Babu Ali, please come and join me on the stage.
Good morning. I take this opportunity to welcome the CEO of Funduzi Media, Mr. David. Can I also today very mindful of the fact that each time we go to bed, we do not know when we wake up the following day whether the dreams that we have gone through the night in our sleep can one day become. After reading all the stories of why all of you who are here today were nominated for this prestigious honor of Sunday World Unsung Heroes of 2021, I came to the conclusion that there is only one thing you share in common. What you share in common is a sense of duty. What you share in common is elaborated by philosopher Immanuel Kant when he tells us about people who are dutiful in their lives. He reminds us that to such people, the priority and the principle is duty, and it is duty alone. To them, a good act is not done to please somebody. We are reminded that a good act is not done to gain advantage, nor to seek glory or secure a reward, for that matter. A good act is done because the actor sees for himself that his act is right and that it is his duty to perform that act. That is why we are here today, because of the duty to perform something, because of the act to deliver something as a result of the sense of duty to our communities, to our neighbors, to ourselves, to the nation, and to the world, for that matter. The moral imperative here is categorical. In other words, duty is unconditional. It is an obedience to oneself. It is an obligation to one's sense of responsibility. The moral value of an action must not only be concentrated on the outcome, but it must be concentrated on the principle of an action itself. That is where the duty comes into play. It comes into play because of the principle of an action itself. I'm urging all of us who are here today to internalize that principle and make it our own private rule, the rule that we can live by every day. That is what we are witnessing here today. That is why we are here today. We are here because of the sense of duty. I welcome you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Babwali. And it is that sense of duty that brings us here as well, and being able to celebrate those who are termed to be the unsung heroes. And today, we are singing your praises by having you here and by you sharing your story. And the importance of that as well is once we start the process of actually starting to share people's stories, you know that energy feeds off. Somebody else tend to gain from that as well and gain strength from that to say that if Ndivuo can do it, surely I can also do it. And publications such as Sunday World, which are in most households, people have access to the paper, has that responsibility as well, and I'm happy that they've grabbed it with both hands. And perhaps as the public broadcaster as well, at some point we must get to that level where we say that we should be intentional and deliberate in elevating and validating young people. The other day, just a quick one, the other day we, on the show, I asked for a young person to come and join and co-host the show with me. And we were inundated with people who are very, 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 very talentful, who wanted to be on the show and come and co-host on the show. But apart from that, is that sense of community and the sense of fulfillment that I got from the listeners themselves. It's not true that a bleeding story is the story that people want to read about every day. It's not true. It's not true. People will also want to hear the good story. And today is one of those moments that there is a good story to tell. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of this initiative. I am now going to call the headline sponsors representative who will be speaking. We'll be hearing now from Ubabu Undivuo Mafera, who is the head of stakeholder relations of the National Lotteries Commission. Thank you so much.
I'm happy that you finally admitted that I'm old and you have to say. Oh, wow. Program Director Adrian, good morning. The CEO of Funduzi Media, Brawali, the editor of Sunday World. Dr. Masola, good morning. And most importantly, our guests of honor, the awardees. Good morning. We can make it louder, we are still young.
I thought you said you're old.
Well, it will be amiss maybe if I don't start by clearing this confusion that we always meet as the National Lotteries Commission, because I'm quite sure you'll be asking us about numbers at some point. Our job is a regulator of the national lotteries and sports pools in South Africa. What we do, we give out the license, and out of that license, when it's operating, we take a certain percentage of proceeds, which we use to fund civil society in South Africa. So at this point, we are sitting at about 1.5 billion a year that we use to fund NPOs across the country for various causes. In the course of our work at the NLC, we meet people from all walks of life who have taken it upon themselves to uplift others where they see a gap. Many of these people have observed the conditions in their communities and envisioned a better future. These people define the term unsung hero, which we are celebrating today. These are the people who do great deeds but receive little or no recognition for themselves at all. Their satisfaction for them is not in getting a pat on the back or having their name in lights like today, but leaving a tangible impact that can change lives. The engine room of changing lives. Changing lives has always been the motto of the National Lotteries Commission. It's full of unsung heroes like the ones who are here today, who are diligent in their pursuits to make a difference and leave positive impact wherever they are. As the largest funder of civil society in South Africa, the NLC has since inception, that will be 1999, distributed over 30 billion to good causes. It might sound as a huge figure, but the needs of this society that we live in are still very substantial. To build the South Africa we desire, everyone is required to do their part. Nation building by its nature can never be the role of government alone or a specific sector of society by itself. But we insist, because this is part of our work, that an invigorated civil society is key to achieving our goals of eliminating poverty and fighting inequalities, which are at the heart of the problems that this republic of ours face. Last week, a giant of Africa came down in the outpouring of tributes to the late Kenneth Kaunda. He was revered as a great statesman who opened his doors to liberation movements from across the continent in the pursuit of freedom for all. This was at a great cost to himself and the Zambian people. His role in the political liberation of this country, South Africa, cannot be ignored, and I think we are better off for it. As Africans, we are well positioned to understand the role of community in shaping our collective identity, our customs, and our norms. We understand that for one to be free, all must be free. For one to prosper meaningfully in a community, it basically means the community must prosper. This is how our ecosystem survives. The NLC, which I represent, understands this system very well. While we administer the pest, we understand that those who make the change on the ground in communities are the ones who turn the money, the funds, into action, into programs, into services to build a winning nation. Beyond these organizations that we have funded, there are thousands more that agitate for change in a myriad of ways, including yourselves today. All sectors of society have a role to play in making things work, and this requires us to focus more on just ourselves, but others. There is always this whole thing now that we are talking about the youth, that every generation sees the faults and failures of the one before it. And the late, great Zimbabwean musician, Oliver Mtukudzi, had a song which said, the current generation always think that a generation before them had a better deal in life. In relation to young people, the youth of '76 are depicted as sacrificing, while us, Aldrin, today's youth, are branded as selfish. Closer inspection to this statement will reveal, however, that millennials and Generation Z are socially conscious and values-driven. We see this today in the caliber of nominations that have been received. We see it when there is a call to action for the soul of humanity, with the youth leading the charge. The activism of today's youth is not only limited to street protests and social media trends. It is captured in innovation, in literature, in business, and in technology, and the arts that all work for the benefit of humanity. What we are simply saying is that activism is a service. We are living through a period of uncertainty, and we are confronted daily with reasons to despair. But when we take a closer look, we are reminded of this country's resilience. Today's heroes are a symbol of this, reminding us that we must be the change that we seek to see in the world. We sing your praises today for activating change in your corner of the world. We hope that this recognition will not slow you down, but encourage you to do more. Our freedom was hard won, not only by the youth of '76, by all those who took up the charge to change the status quo of injustice in the country and abroad. The unsung heroes of our time are those who continue to disrupt the norm, those who call out anything that does not serve the greater good. These are the ones who are securing the future and the prosperity of our democracy. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you so much. I was about to say, can we secure the time as well, you know? Can we protect the time as well? And you know, I went to the bathroom earlier on, and I think the guy is somewhere here. I went to the bathroom earlier on, guys, and I walked in and I greeted the guy like, hey, Eta. And then he says to me, sure, Grootman. I'm like, Grootman, Unsung Grootman, maybe Mangati Puti, something yana enjalo, but Grootman. What do you think about Grootman, Divo? It's just too much, yeah? Okay, we are now going to call on Dr. Atambile Masola to come and give us the keynote address. But as she comes to the podium, I'll also want to introduce our panelist who will then come and take a seat as we have the conversation around daring to dream. So I'm going to ask the panelists to please make their way to the podium. We're going to start off with Indivo. You can come back, Head of Stakeholder Relations of the National Lotteries Commission, and Nhlanhla Ndlovu, who is the founder of Hustlernomics. Please, if anyone is Nhlanhla here? Oh, okay, so Nhlanhla is connecting virtually. If anyone, please, Dr. Masola, if you can ask him as well, that name, how did he come up with that name, Hustlernomics? Trevor Komoto, renowned speaker, also joining us for this conversation. Ntabeleng Kawe, who is the CEO of Fezi Auditors and Accountants. And is Ntabeleng here? Or is Ntabeleng also joining virtually? Okay then, thank you so much. Dr. Masola, you can come and take the stage.
Sanbonan. Aibo, Sanbonan. Hello. Sanbonan. Anbingenele gol. Suke Eastern Cape siyabulisa thina. Enkosi mulweni, it's so wonderful to be here. Kumnandi balapha. It's nice to be here. There we go. Can we get in the room? It's so exciting to be here because we're celebrating young people. And we really salute all of you who have been nominated and who have been part of this inaugural project. It's such an honor. Every time we gather as young people, I think it's very important for us to acknowledge the hard work that goes into who we have become. So congratulations, and thank you to the Sunday World for doing this important work. But today I want to talk a bit about the significance of the celebration. I know it's been said already, and so I want to draw on some history to bring together why this day is so significant. And I know we talk about 1976 a lot, but I'm going to probably go a bit further back than 1976. So in her latest album, Inganekwane, Zoe Modiga captures the spirit of this moment we are celebrating today in her song. She says, Inja inengani, asisabi lutho, sifeza amaphupho, sicula amahubo, siletha utshintsho, impendulo yethu uyebo. This song captures this moment and the profiles of all the young people, abanengani, who refuse to believe to be statistics of unemployment. Young people, abangasabi lutho, who are not afraid of putting themselves out there. Young people, abafeza amaphupho, fulfilling a dream because they know that it is through dreams that siletha utshintsho. It is through making our dreams a reality that we will bring about change. In the chorus, Zoe Modiga repeats, impendulo yethu uyebo. Young people are saying yes to the future. All the organizations featured in this supplement are saying yes to the future. I won't bemoan the challenges we are facing as young people. What matters most is that we are responding to those challenges by starting our own organizations, by empowering our peers, and changing our communities. In another song, Umdali, Zoe Modiga reminds us of our birthright as creators. While the song evokes the creation story, it also reminds us of our history. She begins, Wadala umdali, wadala abantu, ebadala ngemicabango yakhe, wanekela emoyeni, ebafanisa naye, wabanika ithemba lakudala. Uma singazi izifiso ezabaphambili, amaphupha akudala, sizowafeza kanjani na? It is the question that captures why we are here today. Uma singazi izifiso ezabaphambili, amaphupho akudala, sizowafeza kanjani na? If we do not know the promises of those who came before us, how will we fulfill the dreams of our ancestors? You see, the work you are doing is fulfilling the dreams of our ancestors. These are not just our dreams. The work we are doing is not just for us, but for our ancestors who dreamt us into being. By ancestors, I am talking about abantu abadala, as well as our collective ancestors who resisted oppression and demanded our dignity. People such as Doman, Krotoa Eva, Sekukune, Umgabayi Gajama Zulu, Dio Soga, Charlotte Maxeke, Nokutela Dube, Nonzizi Mqwetho, Josie Mbama, Miriam Makeba, Enoch Mgijima, uMaqoma, uShaka, John Langalibalele Dube, Sol Plaatje, Pixley Kaseme, Robert Sobukwe, Steve Bantubiko, a long list of ancestors who lived complicated lives during the wars of dispossession and oppression. And each of those are people who put their lives on the line in order for us to still be here today, because we know historically that there were people who were invested in our destruction. And so it is a dream that we are even here to begin with. Each of these people and many others whose stories are yet to be told are smiling on the other side because of the work you are doing. Whether you are aware of it or not, many of you are walking in their footsteps. I also like to imagine that they are deeply distressed and angry by the corruption of our politicians who make our lives difficult. As young people living in the immediate aftermath of a brutal history, daring to dream is a political act. Daring to dream is spiritual warfare. Daring to dream is the beginning of redefining our future on our terms. In the same way that our ancestors built institutions in order to resist dispossession, we too owe it to her song, Inja. She says, Inja inengani, asisabi lutho, sifeza amaphupho, sicula amahubo, siletha utshintsho, impendulo yethu uyebo. This song captures this moment and the profiles of all the young people, abanengani, who refuse to believe to be statistics of unemployment. Young people, abangasabi lutho, who are not afraid of putting themselves out there. Young people, abafeza amaphupho, fulfilling a dream because they know that it is through dreams that siletha utshintsho. It is through making our dreams a reality that we will bring about change. In the chorus, Zoe Modiga repeats, impendulo yethu uyebo. Young people are saying yes to the future. All the organizations featured in this supplement are saying yes to the future. I won't bemoan the challenges we are facing as young people. What matters most is that we are responding to those challenges by starting our own organizations, by empowering our peers, and changing our communities. In another song, Umdali, Zoe Modiga reminds us of our birthright as creators. While the song evokes the creation story, it also reminds us of our history. She begins, Wadala umdali, wadala abantu, ebadala ngemicabango yakhe, wanekela emoyeni, ebafanisa naye, wabanika ithemba lakudala. Uma singazi izifiso ezabaphambili, amaphupha akudala, sizowafeza kanjani na? It is the question that captures why we are here today. Uma singazi izifiso ezabaphambili, amaphupho akudala, sizowafeza kanjani na? If we do not know the promises of those who came before us, how will we fulfill the dreams of our ancestors? You see, the work you are doing is fulfilling the dreams of our ancestors. These are not just our dreams. The work we are doing is not just for us, but for our ancestors who dreamt us into being. By ancestors, I am talking about abantu abadala, as well as our collective ancestors who resisted oppression and demanded our dignity. People such as Doman, Krotoa Eva, Sekukune, Umgabayi Gajama Zulu, Dio Soga, Charlotte Maxeke, Nokutela Dube, Nonzizi Mqwetho, Josie Mbama, Miriam Makeba, Enoch Mgijima, uMaqoma, uShaka, John Langalibalele Dube, Sol Plaatje, Pixley Kaseme, Robert Sobukwe, Steve Bantubiko, a long list of ancestors who lived complicated lives during the wars of dispossession and oppression. And each of those are people who put their lives on the line in order for us to still be here today, because we know historically that there were people who were invested in our destruction. And so it is a dream that we are even here to begin with. Each of these people and many others whose stories are yet to be told are smiling on the other side because of the work you are doing. Whether you are aware of it or not, many of you are walking in their footsteps. I also like to imagine that they are deeply distressed and angry by the corruption of our politicians who make our lives difficult. As young people living in the immediate aftermath of a brutal history, daring to dream is a political act. Daring to dream is spiritual warfare. Daring to dream is the beginning of redefining our future on our terms. In the same way that our ancestors built institutions in order to resist dispossession, we too owe it to the generation who will come after us to build institutions in order to foster our freedoms. When they read history books of this moment, they will see your stories as evidence of your efforts. They will be inspired to continue in your footsteps in the same way you have done. And because time is not linear but cyclical, many of those in the future will be able to dream more dreams and expand the possibilities that you have begun. I have mentioned historical names that some of you may know and others perhaps are unfamiliar. I am referring to history because without knowing our history, we cannot make the future anew. We will always think that we are doing it for the first time, and in a sense, erasing such important work of the people whose shoulders we stand on. In isiXhosa, we say, "Inyathi ibuzwa kwabaphambili." You ask those who have gone before you. So we may be faced with a lot of death at the moment. We may even find it hard to wake up in the morning because of the hopelessness sometimes. But your work inspires me to keep going. Your work reminds me of Frantz Fanon's words, where he says, "Each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it." It seems to me that you are the example of people who have not only discovered your mission, but you continue to fulfill your mission. I have also learned that every generation has to challenge the myths that we grow up following or grow up believing. One of those myths for our generation is that 1994 came with freedom, and therefore freedom means waiting for government to fulfill that freedom. While it is important to hold government accountable, it is also important to remember that freedom does not mean waiting. It means working every single day to make freedom meaningful. While others fought and died for our freedom, we must fulfill that freedom by continuing with the work you have all begun. I'd like to end with some encouragement from a poet from the 1920s, Unsung. Her poetry was published in the newspaper Umthetheli Wabantu and Abantu Bato, and I was pleased to see that there is a poet amongst the people who have been nominated, Usphorazi Jonas. Unsung wrote politically charged poetry for almost a decade. I want to end with the last stanza from a poem that she published in Umthetheli Wabantu on the 31st of January, 1925. And the title is Ubusuku bunzulu ekuzeni kokusa, which can be translated as "The night is deep before the dawn." I end with this poem as a way to encourage you all. The night may be the difficulty of living through a global pandemic which has brought about suffering and death. But even though this is the case, your work as unsung heroes suggests that dawn is breaking. Kuzolunga. I'll read the translation first and then end with the Xhosa stanza. She says, "So take a look, Africa. Dawn's breaking. The night is deep before the dawn. The morning star has climbed the sky with you bewildered by the future. Ngoko ke Africa, lunguza, uyasa, ubusuku bunzima xa kuza kusa. Ikhwezi lona kudala laphumayo. Nixakwe yona nto makube yiyo. Vumisani. So congratulations, unsung heroes, and thank you for inspiring South Africa to continue dreaming.
So I'm watching Dr. Masola, and I asked myself that preschool begupi. Emtanzan. Okay, benenzani emtanzani preschool.
Besenzani?
Mankula.
Hayibo. Besidlala.
Yeah?
Aya entsimini.
Yes.
Hayke.
That is what I was hoping for. That is what I was hoping for because, you know, we all start somewhere, right? And at some point, we were all toddlers. I'm going to try this one out and see if it works. Can we all stand up quickly? Please, please, please. Let's all stand up. Let's all stand up, ladies and gentlemen. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
If you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet.
Who can grab the other one? That side, anyone? If you're happy and you know it, do what? If you're happy and you know it, shake your head. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, shake your head. What's the other one? If you're happy and you know it, say something.
Yeah, say A or something, or say I.
Okay, okay. Let's try it, Gabriel. Okay, one time. Next 5 tens. Next 5 tens. Next 5 tens. Let's try it.
Yes. If you're happy and you know it, say I.
Aye.
Yeah, happy and you know it, say I.
Aye.
If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, say I.
Aye.
There we go.
If you're happy and you know it, say NLC.
NLC. Yes.
Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so the energy is great, and now we are going to dare to dream. We're now going to have the conversation about daring to dream and what it takes to dare to dream. And as I said earlier on, it's also an act of bravery to dream. I'm going to introduce our panelists again, and then Dr. Masola will then take over the conversation. And remember that those who are following the conversation on our virtual platforms, remember that you can also send through your questions as well as your comments and also any other contribution that you have to the conversation that we are currently having this afternoon. So, as I've indicated, Ndivuo Mafera, who is head stakeholder of National Lotteries Commission, and Ntantla Ndlovu, who is the founder of Hustlernomics. I love that name, hey? Hustlernomics. Just listen to that, eh? Hustlernomics. It sounds like a theory that should be unpacked via academia. Yeah. With citations, you know?
Definitely.
Of umama ohleze khoneni athengisa umbila. What do they call umbila lo wosiwe?
Corn.
No, man, low OC. Corn is corn, guys. Come on. There's a certain word for umbila that, about Owosai, man, the one that they braai. What is it called? Anyone? Somebody? Oh, my heroes. Huh? What's it called?
Yeah, we call it Aldrin.
No, man, there's a certain word that they use. Anyway, this will be part of our research for Hustlernomics, so we will find a word for it. Trevor Kamoto is also joining us, who's a renowned speaker, and Tabileng Kawe, who's the CEO of Fezi Auditors and Accountants, who will be also joining us for this conversation, and Tabileng is also joining us virtually as well. The conversation starts here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be taking questions from our live audience as well. Dr. Masola, you can take over.
Thank you, Aldrin. Can everybody hear me still? Okay. So I wanted our conversation to be about, you know, part of our own personal stories, but also how that relates to the work. And I know Ntabileng and Tlantla are joining us. I was hoping, are they on which screen? Because it's difficult to talk to people when I can't see them. But when I call on them, can they please just unmute themselves from the comfort of where they are? And I know, Mr. Mafela, I want to actually start with you. I know you've already spoken already, but there's something very important about NLC partnering in this work. And why was it important specifically to partner on this project that is about celebrating young people?
Well, the theme that we have been given has always been unsung heroes. And the story of the NLC, it has always been an unsung hero itself. I was just laughing when Aldrin was making us sing the songs just now. It is the very same NLC that have put brick and mortar of ECDs across all provinces, 114 of them, so that all these kids can start, have a good foundation of education, and they can compete with others maybe who are from rural areas. I must tell you, all these brick and mortar ECDs that I'm talking about, they are not in any suburb. They are in rural areas and far-flung townships. So when this whole issue of unsung hero was proposed to the NLC, we thought that it really aligns with the work that we do. That's why we didn't even think twice to join the Sunday World in doing this and supporting the people who are actually doing work on the ground.
I'm so glad you've mentioned the rural connection that NLC has, because I think when you look at the supplement, when everybody sees it, you're going to see unfamiliar names, perhaps from places that you may not even know of. I think it's important for us to celebrate what young people are doing in rural areas because they can often be forgotten. So thank you for mentioning that. Trevor, you are an inspiring speaker, and I want us to maybe take us back to your childhood. What was it that led you to here? Because sometimes it's something in our formative years that can lead us to where we are.
He was clearly singing.
Wow. Good morning, by the way. Thank you very much for having me here. I think, well, if I can clearly track back, I think it's purely, I mean, I'd say optimism. You know, and also if it lines in very closely with dreams. You know, as a young boy growing up in the township of Tembisa, you are exposed to television, to books, and so forth. By the way, so I grew up in a very strict family. So whilst other kids were playing outside on the streets, me now Gogo would force me to either be indoors, busy with your schoolwork, or watching TV or something. But at that same time, I was getting exposed to other worlds I'd never been a part of. And through that exposure, I always dreamt of something else. I dreamt of stages, I dreamt of exposure, traveling, and all those things. Something that most people from the background I come from weren't exposed to. And in that optimism building, it led up to me always saying to myself, but there is greater out there. There is something better than what we're exposed to right here. And so I think that then became habitual. It then became a part of who I was, in a sense that in any situation I found myself in, I always believed there was better. In any circumstance, whether negative as it may be, I always believed there is better, or there is more than this. And then that came about, and I actually realized at a later stage how this thing can be commercialized. You know, come and speak, motivate and inspire. How? And this is a job. Or this can be a craft, you know? And I remember even when it started occurring, people are like, so yeah, we're having this youth conference for young people at church. Come and speak to them. I'd ask and say what? You know? So it's one of those things, it's been a process of your life. And so, yeah, as I'm saying, it stemmed from optimism you had whilst growing up, and then you found that it could actually be commercialized.
I love what you're saying about the commercial aspect, because we seldom think about, well, not seldom, there's a challenge that young people have in terms of being able to commercialize the skills and the talents that we have. And I want to bring in Untla into the conversation now. I hope they are connected. Can I just get an indication? Because I'd like him to speak to hustlenomics. And tell us a bit about where that wording in particular came out, because I think it also shows just the innovation of not only the work he's doing, but the importance of combining this idea of a hustle and economics as well. Is Nhlanhla with us?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am here. Oh, okay, so with regards to the word, I think it basically addresses the issue that we had. So what I realized was that during the youth of 2016, they had a different struggle for us to actually be able to access opportunities. And during our era, what we realized that we actually facing a different struggle where we have the opportunities, but we can't really tap into them. So we basically fight an economic struggle. So the word came about me being a hustler. What I was doing, I didn't even see myself as an entrepreneur at the time. I actually saw myself as a hustler. But then I realized that whatever I was hustling for, it was basically paying to access economic opportunity. So that's where the word came about, where I combined economic and one way. So we're trying to address our economic struggle in terms of either access to jobs, because we have a really high unemployment rate. Hence, our business has in it addressing the issue of social issues, economic issues, and also environmental issues. So I don't know if that actually answers the question about the word of the company.
Yes,
the name of the
thanks,
company.
Ndandla. And maybe as we continue, if we can just help him with his connection as well. I think he's captured something so important there, this question of entrepreneurship, is that we're also finding that young people graduate but aren't able to find jobs. And that's some of the work that Ntabileng does. And I'd like to bring Ntabileng in to the conversation to tell us about what perhaps has been the most challenging aspect of the work that she does in supporting graduates in her community.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Crystal clear.
Oh, thank you. Look, our goal when we started the foundation was to try and keep young people motivated and to make education seem cool. And there's a huge gap now in society in that young people are exposed to early pregnancy, drugs. Our unemployment rates, as Nhlanhla has touched on in South Africa, are astronomical. And this is now exacerbated by the global pandemic. So through the foundation, we try and keep our young graduates motivated by allowing them access to connect with other young people in business, to connect with other young academics, to connect with motivation speakers. And hopefully next we'll have Nhlanhla. They will connect with the hustlenomics as well. We can keep them motivated and keep them inspired until they find that first job.
Thanks.
Or until they're able to enter into a new business and break into a certain sector.
Thanks for that work, Ntabileng. It sounds so important, and you're making me think of, so I used to be a high school teacher before I joined academia, to this point of making education seem cool again. And at the time, we had a president in office who, there were always questions about, how much he had been educated in the formal sense. And so I'm in a grade 10 class one day trying to teach my children. I was an English teacher. And they said, "Ma'am, why do we need to know this?" And because not even the president has a matric. And I thought to myself, goodness gracious, what does it mean to be in a country? It mattered, that question mattered, and it was difficult for me to answer, because what does it mean when our leaders are not educated, but we're saying to our children they must be educated? So it's such important work that you're doing, Ntabileng, because it's in a culture where it really is important for us to make education seem cool again. I want to come back to the room. Trevor, tell us a bit about the Greatness Journal and why you wanted to write it.
Well, the Greatness Journal is an inspirational and motivational daily devotional, basically. So how the book came about was that I'd often actually discover that during the course of my speaking engagements, whether at school or at various points where I'd interact with young people, you'd often find maybe teachers saying, if there was something you could leave behind, if there's something you could share even in your absence. And then I thought, why not document much of the stuff that I talk about at times in order for it to be published, for it to reach areas where even I cannot reach, and quite ironic that you mention it, because there is actually a segment of it that speaks about dreams. It speaks about dreams and visions, and particularly what dreams are, because dreams are mainly how we envision tomorrow, but from what we see today. So it forces us to ask certain questions of ourselves. See, how can we make tomorrow a bit better with everything we have today? So it speaks about dreams and visions. Anybody can have a dream, but it takes that courage and that persistence to have vision, to see tomorrow differently. Because if we look at our history in context, you spoke of Bo Charlotte Matleke, Bo Stephen Bantubiko, and all those people, because those were people who saw the future in a different light, irrespective of the reality at that time. I often like to also relate to the speech by the late Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, "I have a dream." But at that point in time, what did reality say? Reality said racial integration was impossible. And yet he had a dream and said, my kids can play with your kids. So that is basically what dreams are, and that is the sense of how also documents such as the Greatness Journal connected. Because for me, it was simple. For me, it was, how do you wake up and be inspired? How do you wake up and be motivated? Because how easy is it to be motivated in our reality or in the true nature of the circumstances and society we find ourselves living in?
True.
Yeah.
And I like that it's something that we have to build and cultivate every single day. I think by the time we see these projects on paper or on our websites, people don't realize that it's incremental work that goes into that.
Precisely, because what we often tend to find, because Dr. Les Brown says it's like bathing. You need to do it every day. You need to wake up and motivate yourself every day, because people often ask, do I need to do this every day?
Yeah.
Do you need to bath every day?
But you need to do self-talk every day. I want to bring in Nhlanhla in this idea of just the everydayness. How do you, in a context that you've described, Nhlanhla, how do you, I keep looking over there because that's where the technical stuff is, so it feels like Nhlanhla is in that corner. But how do you measure your work, Nhlanhla? How do you do the work of the economics and measure the impact of the work that you are doing?
So the company itself is basically a social enterprise that impacts women. One of the first pillars that we try to address is that we upskill women in youth and give them skills in brick manufacturing and sustainable building methods. But if someone has the skills but they can't find employment, then it also becomes an issue. So we came up with an innovative business model where we go to low-income households who have informal baker checks and give them the opportunity to own formal structures at no cost. So how we take it is that we take the same people that we trained, and then we finance these projects that we're building. At the same time, the bricks that we manufacture, we use recycled construction waste to actually make the bricks. So now we're also addressing the issue of people that are throwing away all these people that are throwing away in the open space community. So we're tackling 3 issues at once, where we create access to affordable housing, and we create a sustainable income for the homeowners themselves, because they're going to benefit from gaining rental income from the units that we build. And we give women and youth the skills and create employment for them. So the big start was not something that initially when we started, we thought it was going to take the direction it took. We thought that we want to create jobs for ourselves, but then we realized that it's a bigger issue than us alone. So we realized there's so many shacks in the community and there's so many people who are unemployed. Hence, we came up with a model that actually brings in together all the issues that we want to address in one business model.
You're doing so well, Nhlanhla, and I'm loving the fact that you have a systemic response with a business model, because I think one of the things we have to think about in the work that we do is sustainability. And I think someone with deep pockets like Mr. Mafela here will help us make our projects more sustainable. And perhaps you could say more about where you've seen civil society kind of bridge that gap. So, we don't want to be too donor reliant. And so how have you seen organizations and civil society make that jump from being donor dependent to becoming sustainable?
Well, what we have done, we have funded various organizations, NPOs. So our other element, because you will remember that we have got a dual mandate. We regulate lotteries and then we also do the funding. On the aspect of regulating, there is something that we encourage our applicants, the people who have benefited money from the NLC, to apply, to be accredited, to have their own society lotteries. If I'm to give you an example, we had some years back funded what we'll call an NPO called the National Sea Rescue. The National Sea Rescue now no longer apply for funds from the NLC. They run their own society lottery, which generates about 50 million rands a year. So they are self-sustaining. So those are the kind of things that we really encourage our NPOs that we fund to say, register a society lottery with us, register these raffles, and then so that you are self-sustaining, because you cannot depend, as you can see, you cannot depend, the funds are very limited, because on an annual basis, we receive close to 20,000 applications and we can only fund 4,000. So if the others are out of the application line and then they are self-sustaining, it is then that we can at least move forward. So that's what we try to encourage all the NPOs to register such lotteries with us so that they can move on.
And it's so important, that process of kind of moving from an idea to being an institution, to being regulated, and that's where it generates even more partnerships and it makes it easier. So thanks for sharing that. And so people who haven't tried that option, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for them to look into. I want to bring in Tabileng maybe for our last round of questions. Tabileng, I'd like to hear from you. How would you like to see your work growing? Where's the next dream? Because we're here now, but there needs to be a sense of the growth and the next part of the dream. How do you see your work growing beyond what you're doing right now? And maybe there are other people in the room, once you share, who would be inspired to collaborate with you and help you in making that part of your dream possible.
Thank you for that question. With the lockdown and the global pandemics, I think we've learned that globalization is something actually very small. And I would personally, at a personal level, like to take my business more global, give them a more global footprint, because we're learning that you don't actually have to cross a border to talk to a person in Ghana or a person in the UK or a person in America. So you're able to sell your product from right here at home. And that's been the greatest advantage, I think, for us in business with globalization. And as that becomes possible, it means your dreams get bigger. You can dream bigger than South Africa, bigger than African borders. And that's how I'm daring to dream in 2021 and beyond.
That's a wonderful dream. Thanks for sharing that. And I think what you're raising, this question of our dreams are borderless. Our dreams are not just for South Africa, they're for the continent and they're for the rest of the world. And in all the problems that we've had, I think that's been one wonderful opportunity about this previous year, is that it's kind of shrunk our borders in a sense. We now have to keep abreast with 2 or 3 or more time zones because we're collaborating with people across the world. And you're reminding us that people like Charlotte Matleke, whom I mentioned, has a history of being a globetrotter. Yeah. Her career started with going to sing in a choir in the UK and then going over to the US. So it's also our birthright to be able to see our dreams grow beyond our borders. Trevor, where would you like to see your work growing?
Yeah, well, I think similarly to Ntabeleng, as we were mentioning, it's actually wise of us to start thinking beyond the borders of South Africa. And like you rightly say, that is what COVID has actually forced us to do, to actually realize we are more than just a locality, more than just a province and so forth. And which is why actually my latest book, which was released in February, was actually put on Amazon. Because I said to myself, how do I go beyond your normal stores or bookshops in South Africa, and how do you reach the global community? I actually said, let's put on Amazon. And quite fascinating enough, the response has been greater globally than it's been locally, because that is where I often found too many times we think too domestically. And that is why you find we use Facebook today, we use Twitter, we use all these things. Why? Because they were created by people who thought globally. So if I, a young person from Tembisa, think of starting something, I think of my street and my section alone. But if somebody from Tokyo thinks of starting an app, he thinks of the world. And that is where we need to find ourselves changing our mindset and so forth. So at this present moment, I'm thinking beyond the borders of South Africa, even across the African continent, because work is growing there, even for young people, for entrepreneurs, for innovators. Work is growing across the continent, and the world is a platform, and it's ready for young people to take it over.
That's so inspiring. I'd like to bring Nhlanhla in for his final just reflection on where he'd like to see Hustlenomics growing and stretching the possibilities of what he's doing. Can we get him back?
for us, I think our biggest goal at the moment is to actually be across all 9 provinces. As much as we've actually appreciated the fact that we've received recognition from international audience, where they're giving us funding, so the problem we're solving is actually and we're hoping to find ways to actually replicate our model in other countries as well. But for now, we hope that will be in every province across South Africa.
Thanks, Nhlanhla, and I'm so grateful that we could bring you in this conversation in spite of all the challenges. Thankfully, we have 4IR, now we have hybrid conversations. And I think the beauty about the discussion that we've had is about speaking into being the ideas that we have, that, you know, it's not enough to just have an idea and to sit on it, but it's to be able to speak it into being and find trusted people that we can speak to and collaborate with and grow with. And with that, thank you very much for participating in this part of our conversation. Shall we take some questions?
Yes. We will be taking questions now. We'll be taking questions from our live audience and then also taking questions from the virtual audience as well. Any comment that you have, any question that you have, or any contribution that you have to the conversation that we're currently having, just put up your hand and someone will come to you with the mic. And as we're having this conversation as well, before we go to the first question, with the three panelists that we have here currently, just quickly, because to dare to dream means you act on that dream, right? But you're not always going to get it right. You're going to fail. And the problem about failing sometimes is that it almost become gubangathi chain. It's something that chains you, and then you feel that you can't move on anymore. How do you lock yourself out of that? How do you say that I'm still willing to try again? Yeah. Dr. Masola?
Me.
Yes.
I failed so many times. I think the one big challenge for me is getting out of the shame, because there's so much shame when we fail and you want to hide. Yeah. And so my thing is always to find people who can laugh at me when I failed. My friends are so good at it. My family, in fact, because I'm the youngest, ekaya. So it's nice, people already don't take you seriously, so I take my stories to them, and they help me laugh at it, but they also help me with perspective. So for me, it's always community that gets me out of that loop. And I don't do anything alone, so yeah. I value and I lean a lot on my people who are like, oh girl, this is nothing, just get on with it. Yeah. You know what I did last week? I was surfing with my friends, whatever, just to give me perspective about the nature of my failure. So I think speaking to people about that shame is the most important thing for me.
You know, Eldrin, if we were to speak about failure, you know, as we were growing up, we were taught the story of Thomas Edison and the light bulb, that he actually failed about 100 times before he got it right. And here we are using light bulbs all over the world today. So for me, what did that say? It simply said, failure is not in itself failure, but a discovery of a method that didn't work. Wow. So all the other 99 times, you were actually discovering methods that didn't work. And the 100th time, you got it correctly. So it's all a process. It's all a journey, because if you didn't go through those 99 times, you would have never got to that one time that got it right. So it's all about just dusting yourself up and saying, I've learned my lessons, let me implement. So whatever dreams you have, just go for them. Even the failure is part of the process, because it will deliver you to the journey or to the destination of the realization, ultimately the success of it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? That failure is also part of that learning process.
Yeah.
Ndivo?
It's more about re-examination of what you have been doing. Naturally, in your head, I did this, it did not work. So you'll want to do it differently. You are not going to repeat the very same mistakes, as to add what he was saying. So it's quite, basically, it's experience in one word.
Yeah. It is experience. So we're taking questions from our audience. Please put your hand up, and someone will come to you with the mic. Please introduce yourself as well and indicate to who you want to ask the question or the comment that you have. We have our first person right at the back. Good morning, or good afternoon, rather.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mongameli Ngangelizwe from King Palo Foundation. I would like to pose a question to Mayor Ntabile Nkawe. My question is, where did you, I know that you come from an extremely very small town in the Free State, where one of our female leaders of our strike, Winnie Mandela, came from. I mean, was under house arrest. So I just want to check with you, coming from such a small town, where did this idea of education will make you an enabler in South Africa for all black people, particularly for women who are coming from the urban areas within our province? Where did you get the idea that you would use education to be able to transform and develop South Africa and the community in which you come from? Because it's not something that everybody is able to, it's not a thinking that everybody is able to arrive at that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to the next person while Ntabileng also gathers her thoughts on that question. You can go ahead.
Sanbona, my name is Tulile Kanyile. I live just up the road. But my question is to Putindivo, and I think I'm going to dare to dream. And I'm going to say I looked at the criteria for funding for the National Lottery this time and felt like my organization, Inkathu Deutsche Propeller, was excluded from that criteria. And what I wanted to find out is to what extent there is a willingness to have conversations outside the border of what is the criteria. And perhaps to be more specific, there's a focus on ECD, and I think it's important. But I also think that there is a challenge in employment and skills that are perhaps omitted from basic education in primary and high schools, like coding and design thinking and systematic ways of solving problems that are perhaps so important for people that are unable to get into university or unable to perhaps have the tools to, I don't know, design a business model canvas. And if the borders of funding are limiting and don't include that market and that skill set to be transferred, I would just want to know what the potential for communication around that would be. And perhaps would the NLC be willing to have maybe 10% of its funding completely ring-fenced for youth-run organizations? I don't know.
That's a suggestion. This is what we mean when we say shaking the tables. There's somebody right at the back there.
Good day, everyone. My name is Nkopane Mukwena. I don't have a question, but rather a comment, perhaps also to bring the discussion to your panel with regards to unemployment, especially youth unemployment. I had thought it would be a topic of interest which perhaps your panel would have brought in, especially given the relevance. Perhaps just to bring it to your panel, South Africa currently, we are faced with this huge problem of unemployment. We are speaking of education here, which is important. But South Africa, in my view, does not have a huge problem of education as compared to the problem of unemployment. Many students or graduates are unemployed and they have qualifications. And we need to sort of find a way in which skills which we have as youth can be used to contribute to the country without necessarily being reliant on who's going to employ you. And in my view, I think the societal attitude towards education is greatly problematic and very highly contributory to why we are unemployed or we have such a high rate of unemployment in South Africa. No one is entitled to employment. Yeah. No one promised you will be employed. So what should happen? From a very grassroots level, what ought to happen is that, as one of the speakers was talking about dreams, as a toddler, we must ask you what your dream is. But as a teenager, we must ask you what your vision is. What do you want to do? And that's a very important discussion for me. You are not entitled to employment. We need to think more innovatively. We need, perhaps as young parents, to encourage our kids to think more innovatively, to push them to entrepreneurial route, because if you, for example, are a doctor, you can have your own practice and run it and create employment. So I just wanted to bring that discussion to your panel and perhaps have their comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Any first takers from the panel that I have here to the questions that were asked early on, and then we'll have Ntabileng also responding.
You want to?
Sure. Maybe I'll take a stab at the last question, this connection between education and unemployment. And I think it's such a complex, we're sitting with such a complex ecosystem, and this is not to get anyone off the hook. So we were told that education would be the silver bullet that would solve all our problems, right? And so you're right, young people are educated in that sense. But what we've found is that the education that we have does not match what the system needs. And we can see what has happened just in the last year alone is that jobs were completely made redundant just by virtue of the global pandemic. And now that is something futuristic that could have been done. So you're holding the balance of there's the education that we're doing right now and the ways in which we can tweak it over time and the machinations that we have to tweak it over time. So I'll give you an example that relates directly to what happened last year. 2 years ago, I was involved in a working group that was thinking about 4IR in education. There was a huge conversation. We got some of the best thinkers around the table, and we had all the ideas there. That was an opportunity for us to even foresee what would happen last year in 2020. But something like that needed government accountability in order to do that. So in pockets, people were already thinking about that. So for me, it's not so much that the link between education and unemployment isn't very clear. It's that there are other stakeholders that we need to be able to move. And do we know as young people how to move that? So do we know what it means for when the Department of Education doesn't take those suggestions seriously? How do we make them account? Because had they taken that report seriously, we would have had a different response to what happened with schools last year. Schools probably wouldn't have closed. Children would have had better access to some of the equipment that we were suggesting 2-3 years ago already. So it's within a bigger ecosystem to point to what you're saying. And so by the time we get to unemployment, it's a systemic thing, it's a government thing, it's an institutional thing, but it's also those 12 years that we have with children. So I think let's paint a far more complex picture when we make those connections.
Yeah, I think that's a very powerful comment that you made, because that is actually something I also always say, that we live in a time where in the education we are given is very outdated. Because year after year, we churn out young people into the working sector or into society who come from an education sector that has done nothing to equip them for the world that they're going into. You know, because when we were growing up, we were told, go to school, get a degree, so what? So you can get a job. But now that there are no jobs, what then happens? We find ourselves with a huge question mark. You know, so that's where we need a mental shift or a mental change. We need to stop going to school for jobs. We need to start going to school for solutions. And what I love about most of the unsung heroes, if not all rather, they're providing solutions in their communities. Because everywhere where we are as human beings, we find ourselves with problems that exist. I often tell people, money is a result of solutions given. You want money, provide solutions. You want more money, provide more solutions. So everywhere where you are, there's a problem, either of kids who don't have help with their homework, potholes, service delivery, and you can list 1,000 other things that need solutions. And that is where our opportunities find ourselves in, because we say, if I can't submit my CV to that company and they can't give me a job, what then? Yet you wake up every day, from the moment you walk out of your gate, there's a problem. Yet you require a solution for that problem, and you're not the only one. There are 1,000 other people who require the same solution to the same problem, who deal with that problem every day. So my advice is always find a problem, provide a solution, commercialize and sell it to everybody else who's dealing with the same problem.
as you answer the question from the lady here in front about ring fencing a certain amount, and listening to what Trevor says about education, is you have somebody who has a concept, that, well, I'll call it a concept, and I'm really, really intrigued by the idea of hustlenomics. It's a concept that responds to the times. However, though, as it will be, that our education syllabus doesn't really respond to the times, like right now, and being very, very, very responsive, is what is it that you believe that the NLC can do if, for instance, we do have that 10% in the ring fence, if there is a possibility, what it would mean for an education system that is constantly changing. You have concepts such as hustlenomics. Imagine that as a subject in school, eh? Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let me answer it in this manner. Well, you see, Siswam, every year we develop what we call focus areas of funding for each and every year. And they are not static. We fund different things for each and every year. So you raised the issue of the ECD that was given here as an example. The reason for that is that our researchers spend a lot of time reading Statistics South Africa reports, what are the problems and all of that. And that informs the problems that we can direct the funds to. With regard to the issue of why don't we take whatever we do in the basic education, in the ECD Center to Basic Education and Higher Education, it now becomes an issue of politics as to how now the country is structured, because what our thinking will be as simple as this. There is a gap. There is nobody who gives these kids a grounding in terms of education, but they've got a custodian in terms of the Ministry of Basic Education for their primary schooling and high schooling. So that would have been the thinking. In terms of what you would have liked to apply for, it's out of what we'll call the focus areas. The NLC always, all the time, even if you look, I think in the coming month, there will be some advert about what we call Indabas and all of that, provincial dialogues that we host. What we do in there is that we go all around, we advertise this, people come in there, they make suggestions to us, because they are the ones who are facing these problems. And that is also included in what we do as the focus areas. What are the problems on the ground? Because we can't sit here and claim that we know everything. So it is one of those things that when we are done for the year, we do them annually. So in terms of the doors being open for negotiation and talking, that's what we always do, and that's why we are here.
Well, thank you so much for that. And Tabileng, just quickly responds to that first question that came in.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
All right, perfect. So I grew up in a very small town, true indeed, of Brantford. This is where Winnie Mandela was held captive by the apartheid government. So it's very small, very close to Bloemfontein. And my mother always said to me, you know, your ticket out of such a small town, and for you to not suffer the social ills that you see around the town, is for you to go to school, to get educated, and to leave the town and to go and get a better life. And I think that's why, for me, then education became so critical. It was my mother's way of saying that your ticket out of surviving such social ills is education. It's a stable life. It will teach you values. And the more you learn, the more confident you are. And education will foster critical thinking. And I think us, the people who are now learned, must come up with solutions that make society easier. Hustlenomics, Gussynomics. How do we introduce blockchain as accountants in work that we do every day? How do we encourage our children to build apps, to be more digital? And I think that's the role of what education should be now. Not what it was before, but it must also transform. And the minds of the learners must also transform to address the new challenges that we're facing in society. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Because we are running out of time, we are going to have Dr. Masola giving us the closing remarks and just summing up some of the contributions that we've received since the start of this conversation.
Thanks, Aldrin. So I think the key for me in this discussion has been the importance of doing, but also of doing in a context where you understand what your community needs. I think we must speak it into being. Glenda needs to do more about hustlenomics. That should be a subject in school. In fact. I
Love
think it just captures
I'm such
everything.
a proponent.
Yeah, no, and I think we must speak it into being because, I mean, people want to say things like that are happening in the LO curriculum, but they're really not. There's what's the economics? I did accounting in school, so I don't know what it's called now, EMS. That is where the answers lie, but also an interdisciplinarity about that, right? So economics and how it speaks to the humanities and how it speaks to the sciences and how all those skills can relate. And I think at the crux of all of that is in the absence of those job employments where we're not waiting to take them, how do we turn that into models that we can use? And how do we turn that into proposals that we can take to funders who are willing and able to be able to do that work? So I hope everyone is encouraged. I'm encouraged to think more about the work that I am doing, and I'm so excited that there's this wonderful treasure trove of stories that we can pick up and read and be inspired from.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. A round of applause, everybody. I have an idea, and I am going to propose this idea here. Just listening to all of the contributions that we've received so far, and what's evident as well is that we all know that everyone who is in this space, their hearts are quite clearly in the right place. And with this initiative, it mustn't stop here where we reward and we celebrate those who are doing well, but we must get to a point where we say that how do we create an institution that says that this belongs to young people, and this is where young people can come, share their ideas, share some of the innovations that they'd love to see happen in their communities as well, and an organization or an institution that is apolitical. Because some people don't want to belong to a political formation, but the ideas are there, the concepts are there, and the skill is there as well. So, Babual, throwing it back at you. Make sure that this happens. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move over to the presentation now of our unsung heroes, close to over 114, nominees that have made it so far out of the thousands of entries that we've received. We're going to go through the list. It's quite a long list, so I'll be naming some of those people who are being celebrated today, and please let's celebrate with them as well. I am going to read out the names of the people who have made the short list. Congratulations and well done. Because of the COVID-19 protocols, and you know, Pelavati, when there's that family meeting and they say, hey, Nina, 50. Nothing more than 50, you know. And mind you that this event was planned way before, way before there was a third wave as well, and even the idea of a third wave. But anyway, we are here now. There are some people who have RSVP'd who are here in the room who will be receiving their certificates as well as their trophies. And thank you so much for making time to be here as well. So I'm going to read through the names, and those who are here, please come forward. And you'll get your certificate over there as well as your trophy. All the best. This is not the lottery. So everyone is a winner here. Ndivuo, can we do something? So as I've indicated earlier on, that there are 5 categories, and the first category that we're focusing on is community heroes, and these are people who are really making a change in their communities, in their respective communities. There was one video that played, and the lady said, I don't have an NPO, I don't have an NGO or anything like that, but it's the heart. It is the person who's saying that I'm willing to do whatever needs to be done. I am of service to my nation. And I love that so much. I love that so much. So the first person that we're going to call on is Nelisiwe Mzili. And from Nelisiwe Mzili, we have Muleji Mapeto, Butle Nicholas Sitela, Brent Peter Waldeck, Suzette van der Wald, Ntantla Makubu. We have Karabo Litswaila, Keleto Khalima, Sanele Nkayana, Noltando Kambule, Ayanda Kuba, Rivwani Madadze, Lebohang Luta, Tabile Noxolo Butelezi, Musa Wenkosi Qili, Martha Setsiba, Nomfundo Msomi, Sonto Msomi. I hope akusabantwana bomuntu laba. Otherwise kuna something yenzeka. Ntabiseng Muchachi, Marshall Makubo, Xolani Mhlanga. Oh, are they here? Oh, okay. Thank you for being here. So the last person that I mentioned was who? That's Marshall. Okay, so where is Marshall Makubo? And then we have Xolani Mhlanga, Nkosinathi Freddy Ndlovu, Nkululeko Mthembu, Nqobile Phephile Tibani, Amanda Valela, Inga Marney Kutsia. Oh, I think it's Inga. Yes, it was your video, right? No NGO, no NPO, just the heart. Just the heart. Well done. Nomsa Nchingowe, Khuputo Pearl Sekwati, Mujaji Siloe, Terence Masuku, Zahir Mohammed Musa, Rejoice Khabu Likhodi, Nomngebo Notile Nkomo, Nomcebo, sorry. Dimakato Mohapi, Gloria Tandekile Mngadi, Sandile Kanyile, Sinethemba Nxumalo, Jonathan Edward Griffiths, and then we have, is it Michelle Muilwa, Nicole Angelique Thomas, and Nicolette Mutika. And those are the nominees that we have and those who have been shortlisted on the Community Youth Heroes category. Please, let's give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Is there
Sunday wallpaper today because I am in it. There I am. I have been nominated in the Unsung Heroes competition in the community category, along with some amazing finalists. I always say that I'm just a normal South African. I don't have an NGO or a charity, but what I do have is passion for the people of Mzansi. So if somebody is struggling, it is my calling to help them, whether it means volunteering at a children's home, an old age home, fundraising for somebody to redo their matric, to get cancer treatment, asthma pump, new glasses. I've helped people who have been living on the streets after being evicted to start a new business after being retrenched, writing CVs for car guards. It's swimming lessons in my pool. Where there is people who need help, I am there. So thank you so much for this nomination. Good luck to everybody.
Nicolette Modika, and I'm 34 years old. I'm qualified in public relations management and marketing, and for the past 10 years, I've dedicated my life to mentoring and helping young people. I currently work for the Durban Child and Youth Care Centre based in Glenwood, Durban. and the Development and Relationship Manager. My role within the organization is to develop and maintain meaningful partnerships with members of the community and corporate donors for the care of youth and children. I've been with the team now for the past 4 years, and together we have assisted in rehabilitating and providing care and support for children that have been abused, abandoned, and neglected. The programs and the services that we provide within the organization are accessed by children throughout KZN. I hope to continue making a positive change in our country based on the work that I do and the impact it has on the many lives of the children and youth that come across us. I am grateful to be nominated as the Sunday World Unsung Heroes as a young person who's making a meaningful difference in the lives of those in our country through the work that I do. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well and that you're still keeping safe during these hard and trying times. My name is Nomfundo Msomi from Pietermaritzburg in KZN. I run an organization called Women of Worth Movement Society. Women of Worth Movement Society aims to support, unite, and bring healing to women. The organization was established in November 2016 by myself and a lady called Nopomele Lokati, just after we realized that the issues affecting young women actually go deeper than what we see on the surface. I am grateful to Sunday World for actually nominating me as one of their community youth heroes. I am so honored to be part of this campaign.
And another round of applause for those community leaders, young people leading in their communities. So the next one that we're going to go to is Hustlernomics. So the category is Youth in Business, and these are young people who are changing how we understand business, the status quo in business, and also some of the innovation that we need in business to reinvigorate business and have a business or business environment that is responsive to our community, that's responsive to South Africa's needs, and research also that speaks to the people and what it is that the people need. You think about it this way, we speak about the world of work, for instance, and times are changing. Babu, I'm sure you'd agree that there are some reporters, because of COVID-19, who don't have to come through to work, to come to the office, you know. They can work from wherever they are. They can go to the story, cover the story, and then file their stories. But what then do we do with the excess time that they have? Are they then allowed to do other work as well? Because I believe that that's what the economy requires now. The economy says that, listen, as an individual, you have your skill, you have what you love, but because human beings are so multifaceted, we have interest in various other things. If I can make money off being a reporter, why shouldn't I make money off singing? Although I can't sing, of course, you know. If I can, why shouldn't I? And I think we should be encouraging people also to try and do that as well. And hopefully our laws would be responsive to that, to say that you don't have to be working 40 hours a week or 45 hours a week. So in the category of youth business, these are the nominees or those who have been shortlisted. We're starting off with Sindisiwe Pearl Shinga. And then we have Obet Dube. Ngumisa Mkabila. Andiswa Chefu. Masonwaba Fuma. Mtutuzi Lipile. Blessing Nzuza. Mashudu Marikela. Masichaba Zamisa Mtembu. Sinamile Masango. Spagamiso Blessing Duma. Lubele, Refilwe Marubani, Makoma Julia Matlala, Tandega Simons, Sizo Shabalala, Petit Kanda le out. Yeah? Ne? It's an egg, ne? Is it a selfie? I wonder who bought the chicken. Kitumetsi Sihacho. Johnny Mukhodi. Jermaine Michael Johnson. And Zintle Pearl Kebekulu. So we've got a pearl right at the top and a pearl right at the bottom of this list. Well done, guys. Congratulations.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your African uncle here. This is our second edition here at Uli Rafiri Marionette Primary School. The kids have got their reports today, so we came together on a little early Christmas gift. 2019 has been an extraordinary year for African Uncle. This is our second year being able to support Uli Rafiri Marionette Primary School. This year we've stepped it up a notch and got the kids to be in touch with the inner Africa and got them bucket hats, African print that is, as well as my famous African Uncle shirts. So we are so excited for 2020 and what's to come. And I'm really interested and keen on seeing a lot of companies come on board with African Uncle to carry out these social development campaigns.
Hello everyone, my name is Kifilwe Morobani. I am the founder and managing director of Giving Wings. We are a strategic consulting, training and development company that is passionate about the value of effective communication skills for success. One of the problems that we've identified is that everyone communicates, but not everyone is an effective communicator. And that has inspired us to spearhead training and development programs for professionals, entrepreneurs, and underprivileged youth by equipping them with the knowledge, skills, and tools to propel them to excel. It is such an honor to be nominated for the Sunday World Unsung Heroes. We truly hope that with our work at Giving Wings, we will inspire many young people to stop limiting themselves and ultimately show up.
Hi everyone, my name is Ndlepha Kebekulu. I'm a 28-year-old serial entrepreneur and a business developer from Johannesburg. I own a tea studio, which is a house of herbal tea blends based in the Heathway Shopping Center in Northcliffe. I'm also based in the Maldives, South of Asia, where I'm introducing the teas to the world. Our teas are accessible in countries like Iran, Singapore, and Sri Lanka. Tea Studio is the first phase of our business where we are introducing our teas to the customers through high tea events, sit-ins, as well as tea tastings. I'm very grateful to Sunday World for nominating me as one of their unsung heroes who are making a difference in their communities through the work that they do. Thank you.
And that's the youth in business. Next, we are moving on to heroes in sports, arts, and culture. And just a quick reminder, ladies and gentlemen, there are forms that are on your table. Sinipa isando world mahala. Mahala nje. Man ngabhala laphayana nje nifaka ama details wenu sizo yenza sure ukuthi you get the paper every Sunday. Is it for a year or is it how long is it for? 3 months. Can we do for a year, please? So it's a 3-month free subscription of Sunday of the Sunday World, ladies and gentlemen. So please do enjoy, please do read, and as I say, like, you know, guys, when you have ideas that you'd like to share, please do those. Please do share some of those ideas. We move over to the next category, which is sport, heroes in sports, arts and culture, and these are change makers in sports and arts and culture, of course, who define themselves through performance, language, writing, music, as well as virtual arts. There's actually somebody who speaks about becoming a coach, and one of the teams that he coaches is a female team. Which is quite interesting, and that's a debate that's been happening on air as well on radio around how do you make sure that female sports is also elevated to the level that you find male sports being elevated to. So here are the list of nominees in this category, or those who have been shortlisted. This is heroes in sports, arts and culture. Tabang Makakwe, sorry. Litabo Mutseling, Brian Lihang, sounds like Lihong. same. Ndando Innocent Matlangu, Andile Humphrey Zindela, Refilwe Rabutabi, Sipogazi Jonas, Elliot Sitole, Mkululi Mabija, Kagiso Kekana, Kanyisani Brian Dube, Siyabonga Kwala, Zamoguhle Dlamini, Oh, Zamo, you that coach, right? That's coaching the female squad, right? I must have a word with you after this. Nosipho Mkhize, Blaine Golden. He's a golden boy, look at him, eh? It's all in the surname, eh? Kamu Matsoso, and finally Nondumiso Wendy Nomate. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
My name is Letao Mutseleng, and I'm a 23-year-old from Johannesburg, Gauteng. I am the founder of Just Another Podcast. All great achievements start off as dreams. I'm currently living my dream through recording memorable moments and people with my camera. As a young filmmaker, I ensure that I push the boundaries of film and other artistic mediums in order to archive our times for future generations. I'm grateful to be nominated for the Sunday World Unsung Heroes as a young person who is making a difference in the lives of others through my work in the arts and culture space. My advice to young people watching this is that your dreams are valid and are in your reach. You just have to believe in yourself enough to reach out and touch them.
Hello everyone, my name is Nosipho Mkhize, founder and director of Dance Life Africa, DLA. I live in a township near Richards Bay in the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal. The purpose of my company has been to teach dance to young children and youth as a form of creative therapy, because I remember when I was at school, every dance class was like therapy to me, and I was able to endure some of the problems I faced as a little girl. Now, not only do I teach ballet and contemporary dance, but I've included art classes, music, digital drawing, animation, filming, and photography. I am so grateful to be nominated for the Sunday World Unsung Heroes in the category of arts, culture, and sports. Thank you so very much.
Sanibonani igama uzama ukuhle Dlamini ngihlala eNewlands East eThekwini KwaZulu-Natal ngineminyaka ewu-28 ubudala. Inhloso yami ukubona ibhola KwaZulu-Natal liya phambili liqhubeka lidlondlobala. Ngiqeqesha iqembu labafana abangaphansi kweminyaka ewu-13 no-17 ePark Hill High School. Ngiphinde ngisize eqeqesheni iqembu labesifazane lase-Durban University of Technology. Ngiphinde ngibonge ka-Sports Trust ngokuthi banginike ithuba ngikwazi ukuthi ngithole nezitifiketi ze-coaching. Inhloso yami ukuthi ngibe nenkulisa ezokwazi ukuthi ikhulise abafana namantombazane ngokwezemidlalo nangokwezemfundo futhi ngokunjalo. Ngiphinde ngibonge ephephandabeni iSunday World ngokungiqokela le mkhakha engiqokele kuyona njengomuntu ovelele emphakathini wakhe through ibhola and sports as a whole. Ngiyabonga.
And next, we're going to move on to youth in academia and education. These are young people who are leading in higher education institutions, including TVET colleges, as well as universities, those who are trying to make a change. And universities and higher education institutions is indeed a melting pot. People come from different backgrounds, you know? Like, some people speak about, I've never seen a white person up until getting to university. And it becomes such a culture shock for you, because this is somebody that you're not, this is a race that you're not used to, you know, because you come from a community where you see that most of the time that everybody around you is black. And then you come into the university space or higher education space, and you all have to work together, even though you have all of these diverse backgrounds, with a common purpose of graduating and making this country a better place. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the names of the people who are listed in the youth in academia and education. Tulile Kanyile. Sayitola le 10%. Sayitola house. Dr. Simo Mtetwa. Malfia Honwane. Ntokozo Nzima. Joseph Duda. Dr. John Mulebo. And finally, Katlego Twana.
I'm Kwanele Mduba. I run Kwanele Mduba Statistics Tutorials. The aim of this academic tutorial is to assist all students who are battling with univariate and bivariate statistics. I wish to make a positive change in the country by removing phobia for statistics and injecting passion for statistics. To all students who are pursuing statistics-related studies, I am candidly gratified to be nominated in the Youth Academia category in the first ever Sunday World Unsung Heroes campaign. Ciao.
Sanbona, my name is Thulile Kanyila. I'm the co-director and co-founder of Nkathuto Edupropela, which was founded in 2017. And really what we do is we bring technology and innovation into school playgrounds, and specifically those playgrounds that are situated within rural and township communities. And I'm really so excited to be nominated in the first ever Sunday World Unsung Heroes campaign, and look forward to creating more of an impact within our social enterprise, ensuring that these technologies that our youth come up with are commercialized in ways that can reach the market, create inclusive innovations that can really push the economy of the country forward. Thank you.
Okay, and that is the youth in academia as well as education. Here's an interesting one. So there's a category of youth in government. It's quite an interesting category because looking at how we perceive the state and we understand the state, but also then to recognize young people who are public servants, you know, who have also signed up and said that I am going to uphold the Constitution and I'm going to deliver for my people through the government's institutions that are there. The number of nominations very, very low, and I hope that next year perhaps that we'll have more people who are part of the youth in government who are nominated. And please do tell those who are in government to say that, hey, listen guys, there is Unsung Heroes, a campaign that's being run by Sunday World as well as its sponsors, where we want to recognize people who are working in the state. And I know that the state comes under a lot of flack, but there are people who are hard workers, who work their behinds off to make sure that they deliver to the citizens of South Africa, including all of those other citizens from other countries who find themselves in this country. So we're going to go on to youth in government, and the first person, Constable Mujalifa Chabalala. This for me is amazing. Look at what this guy does. And when that video plays, guys, and you can see like the work that has gone into it as well. Is he here? Ah, Constable ungababophi manje. That is Constable Mujalifa Chabalala. And then we also have Noktula Chakani.
Hello, South Africa. I am Constable Mojalefa Gibson Chabalala from the Free State. I work as a provincial youth coordinator in the South African Police Service.
Look at this. Just look at this, eh?
My core function in the province is to run educational programs and awarenesses that talks to crime prevention in a form of soft approach. As a youth coordinator, I work hand in hand with various stakeholders, young people in schools, young people in high institutions, young people at church, and young people even at the local areas of our communities. Nowadays, a lot of young people are involved in crime, so these activities or projects are meant to give awarenesses, to give education to young people to say, let's stop crime, let's make a better change as youth, as future leaders. Change begins with me and you, and from today, let us know that it's me and you and only me and you who could make a better change for South Africa.
Hi everyone, my name is Nogutula Chakani and I'm a 30-year-old public servant. I work and live in Bloemfontein in the Free State. I am a qualified economist and I'm a director in local economic development and municipal integrated development planning for the Free State Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Department. I hope to make a positive change in the country based on my work and the impact it has in people's lives in my province. I'm grateful to be nominated for Sunday World Unsung Heroes as a youngster who is making a difference in the lives of others through my work in government. Thank you.
And one day, Constable Chabalala, when there are many, many other people who are listed and nominated under that category, you must tell them that, you know what, back in 2021, it was only Nokuthula and I. And you must wear it like you wear that badge on your honor. Thank you, God. Thank you so much. I've got a bit of a thing now in my throat. I don't know what it is, but thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. I don't know what it is that inspired you to do what you're doing. Also learning that we don't stop crime by arresting people. We stop crime before the crime actually happens, which means that that's where the intervention needs to happen. Well done. I'm proud of you. When I looked at that video, I was like, wow, there's actually a police officer that's doing this. And yeah, man, may the good Lord bless you, and may those who support you continue to support you. And may you encourage others. May you be able to encourage them to be like you, and even to be better like you. Better than you. Well done. Well done. Constable Chabalala. I'm also doing this just in case, you know. We are now going to move on to two provinces that have made the list quite specially. We've got the Free State as well as the Eastern Cape. I'm going to read through the list. I'm going to start off with Ace Muloi. Ja, ek is ook van die Vrystaat. Ek is van Bronwil af en welkom. En ek gesien as iemand van welkom ook hier. So you are represented, guys. Bongani Elvis Madonsela. Silwani Malitsatsi Muleli. Ritabile Shale. Zweli Maklambela. Siyasanga Ngomoyi. Mungameli ngangelizwe. That's an entire sentence. Right? Nkopane Mukwena. Refilwe Mukhale. Beauty Lirato Mohai. Busi Mashwama. And Tandi Maklabaniso. Do you have any videos for this category? Or should we just move over to the next? Okay.
This is Ace Muloi, born in Kwakwa, currently based in Bloemfontein, where I work as a current affairs anchor and editor as well as a freelance writer. I run the AM Writing Center, which is an agency basically that focuses on all writing solutions to all writing needs that you can think of, from personal to creative as well as academic. I'm also involved in Art State, where there's a focus on Malawi arts, and we're trying to just bring our expertise in terms of marketing, PR, as well as digital content creation to make sure that there's a footprint online for some of the best productions that we have here in the city. I do a lot of writing workshops as well for groups as well as for individuals. I've done that for the University of the Free State, which led to a compilation of a book, but also I do it one-on-one with different persons that have interest in writing. It really is a privilege that I get opportunities across the country to inspire my generation and help in rewriting the story of our century. And so I'm privileged and I'm very honored that Sunday World has considered me to be one of its unsung heroes for the year 2021.
Hi everyone, my name is Beauty Honeybee Mohai. I'm a 32-year-old ambitious youngster from the mining town of Welkom in the Free State. I'm a founder of B-Lane Media and Advertising, a multifaceted innovative company that provides tailored solutions in my hometown. Ke e mong wa batjha ba ile reng ka nnete ba kgethuwe ka hona ho thongwa ho ba e mong wa bahale ba ile reng ha ba bone ke tsona di unsung heroes ho engwe ya lesedinyana le batlang le le ka kwano ka hare ho naha enana ya rona ya Afrika Borwa. Ona ke monyetla o moholo bakeng sa ka ebile hape hona ho kenya phepetso bakeng sa batjha ba bang haholoholo jwang ka kwano ka hare ho naha enana ya rona ya Afrika Borwa. Ke rata ho leboha bana ba lesedinyana la Sunday World ho etsa bonnete ba hore motjha e mong le e mong ka nnete le yena o fumantshwa monyetla ya go tshwana le ena. Ke leboha ke lebile haholo fela ka monyetla ona o le reng ke o fuwe. Maparo go matle bana ba thari ya tshepe haebe pula nala.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And just a reminder to some of our finalists who are not here, to collect your prize, what you can do is be in contact with the Sunday World offices. The number is 011 268 6300. The number again, 011 268 6300. That's where you can set up an appointment to collect your trophies as well as your certificates. I'll mention the number again just after we are done with all the other finalists. We now move over to the Eastern Cape. Hlubekazi Sangela. You seem to have the wrong names there that are appearing. Okay, we are now with Tando Mazomba. Okay, and then we have Yolokazi Mfuto. Esethu Soteni.
My name is Nezisa Sokoni. I'm from Butterworth in the Eastern Cape. I am the founder of Nezisa Sokoni Poultry Farm, which specializes in egg, meat, and crop production, and also mentorship. The aim of this project is to uplift the community, to make sure that the people from this community do not have to travel to town just to get a basic need, to create youth employment, to empower people to utilize their land by farming their own produce. I also like to motivate or encourage aspiring farmers to start small, because I believe that you can never start anything if you're not willing to start small. I'm so humbled by this nomination under the category Young People in Business for the first ever Sunday World Unsung Heroes campaign. Thank you. Ndiyabulela.
Azizhege, bring your next level.
Show your next level skills, next level flow, next level drip, next level glow. Bring your next level dreams, next level flavor, next level hair, next level culture. Share your next level swag, next level moves, next level hustle, next level views. Drop your next level bars, next level crew, next level reality, next level you.
Whoosha, baba, bagain and get to your next level. Post your content on your socials with the next level hashtag, tag Vodacom, and let's go further together. Register for Next Level on the My Vodacom app.
Next level for under 25s. Today I'm going to show you how a customer
can activate the next level service. The customer opens up the My Vodacom app and lands here. He or she has two options to activate next level. Under the Discover, we've got a banner there, and activate for free is the first option. Secondly, the customer can tap on My Account and lands here. Under Rewards and Promotions, the customer taps on Next Level option. He or she lands here and has the option to activate for free, to learn more, or to simply go back to the previous screen. For the purpose, the customer taps on the Activate for Free button. He or she lands here and needs to enter a valid South African ID number, or can go back to the previous screen. For the purpose, the customer taps on Next and activation is in progress. Offline, the customer will also receive an SMS once the service is active. That is next level activation.
Okay, that's one of our sponsors, right? Next level, right? Vodacom, right? Yes, yes, yes. Let's move into the next level. So the final one is a special announcement looking at PhD graduates, about the hotel. Those who said, you know what, I'm going to push, and I'm going to wear that red gown. And the focus is at the University of Limpopo, and congratulations to everyone who has graduated with the PhD. We're going to start off with Dr. Godfrey Mulaudzi. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to understand here, when I say doctors, these are doctors who are under the age of 35. Millicent Gegana, Dr. Millicent Gegana, apologies. Should have had it. Trying, right? Arts and culture category, guys, I'm here. Dr. Mpake Masha, Dr. Katleho Poshoko. Hey, guys. Cool, is there still a chance for us? Okay, but we won't be here though. Unsung heroes, I don't think we'll make this list. Onanga 23. Dr. Masola, how old were you? You were 33. Yeah, ne? Yes. Likwa Mukwana. Is it Dr. Likwa Mukwana? Or is it Mr. Likwa Mukwana? And then finally we have Itumeleng Chidi Khanaga. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to study hard. Those who still want to, wear that gown. But then, of course, the other thing that you can do is just be great at your work and do great in your community where and there might be a university that recognizes you and gives you an honorary doctorate, and then you must insist that you must call me Dr. Saint-Pierre. I find it so strange sometimes. But anyway, those would be people that have worked really hard, though, in their respective careers and the contribution that they've made to our communities as well. And that's the reason why universities would give them those honorary doctorates as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are all of our nominees as well as the finalists. Let's please give them a round of applause one last time. So So for those people who haven't received their trophies as yet, as I've indicated, that you can contact the Sunday World office. I'm going to give you the number now. That is 011-268-6300. The number again, 011-268-6300. And if by any chance I missed your name, promise you that it wasn't planned. It wasn't planned. But you can collect your trophy as well and take a picture as well. So ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this part of our presentation. We are now going to move on to the next part of today's function. As we wrap up, we're going to call to the podium the closing remarks that we're going to get from Ubabu Walimbele. And again, guys, thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much.
Program Director, I think I'm emotional. I'm very emotional. This is the day when I really feel very, very proud and honored to be the editor of this newspaper. But let me take this opportunity to convey my deepest appreciation, thanks to all our sponsors, especially the National Lotteries Commission, the CEO, Metabang Mampane. I don't think she's around here. Thank you, and Dibuo and your team for making this remarkable event possible. Can I also convey our deepest appreciation to some of your staff members, Advocate Nene, Mabuntle, and all those who were involved in making this day a real possibility. I would also like to convey our deepest appreciation also to MTN, to Fezi and Opulentia. Tabele Nkawe is not here, but we felt her presence as part of the panelists who enriched our minds earlier on. To members and our friends at NYDA, we bow our heads. To the government, employees, pension fund, we say we really appreciate your involvement with us today. Kaya FM, as well as Vodacom, we really say thank you for traveling this journey with us. There are a lot of people who have actually made this day a reality. The project manager, Anastasia Martin, I would like to thank her for her perpetual energy and motion. Mr. Pagama Mbwanambi, who is the project editor, I would like to thank him for always keeping a smile, even in the face of some grinding challenges. Mr. Bongani Mtagane, I would like to salute you, sir, for your resilience. Ms. Mapala Makhoba, you never give up on insisting that things must just always be done, must not only be done, but you always insist that things must be done correctly. My deputy, Mr. Kabelo Kumalo, is a person of passion who's always looking for thoroughness in our editorial project. Thank you very much, Mr. Kumalo. Kuli Roberts, where is she? Thank you, Ms. Robert. There's one thing, apart from your liveliness, that people don't know, is that you always speak your mind. Do continue speaking your mind, even if it can make us angry, even if it can make us doubt ourselves, but you always speak your mind, and I think that is very enriching in our newsroom. Marketing with meaning, I think you have done a very, very wonderful advertising campaign, which is very meaningful to this project. The Ethical Agency, I would like to thank you for your competence, for your commitment to ensure that we deliver quality and efficiency. To the CEO of Faranani Group, Mr. David Mabilu, for making us all believe and dream with his visionary leadership. Thank you, sir. To all our panelists, Trevor, Tabeleng, Dibuo, and Dr. Atambile, as well as Ntlantla, for your thought-provoking discussions earlier today. To you, Program Director Adrian, I'm not going to call you Rotmani. Yes, indeed. We'd like to thank you for making this, for ensuring that the event became a success that it is. Lastly, but certainly not least, to all our unsung heroes who are here today, and also those who are watching from their different homes and workplaces, I would like to say thank you for stirring our conscience and provoking lumps in our throats. You have made us dare to dream. Anyway, Mkunu, you continue to click your camera there. I'd like to thank you for providing the images which are going to become an important mirror of ourselves. Ashley, I think he's also here. I would like to say thank you, Ashley, for ensuring that the message here is instantly relayed to those who are not physically present here. In conclusion, I would like to say to all of us who are here that you should never give up the will and the stomach to fight. I would like to say, please continue to respond to the debilitating and grinding challenges of our time. Your courage, determination, and your epic journeys are better than what Dr. Martin Luther King would have said, are better than silver, diamond, or gold. What I have learned here today is that our journeys may be different, but they are certainly common in many respects. I really believe, and I truly believe, that we are all in service of something that is bigger than ourselves. Thank you. Thank you.